I'm going to do most of the talking for this because it's story time and Rhino's going to give you his
Reaction.
All right. So when I was a teenager, I had a creative writing teacher in school that openly criticized the way boys wrote stories. She regularly told us our approach to storytelling was wrong. And no boy in her class ever got anything above a C. Now, this is kind of strange because ironically, I was the only boy in her class to ever get an A. So, what was she like? Now, if I were to say she looked like a witch, you've got something in mind right there. And I mean, you could think of this thin, almost frail, had a certain look about her. And, you know, that's what all the boys would refer to her as. I mean, she was pretty much, in their minds, a witch. Now, what sort of comments did she make? Well, for boys, she always created these literary traps. And you know what a literary trap is?
No, not really.
Okay. So she would do something like, hey, I want you to come up with the best color to describe good and the best color to describe evil. And then she would take that and she would twist it around and trying to make you feel like you were doing something really, really wrong. And so how did the boys react in her class? Well, most of them put in minimum effort into her assignments. I mean, very, very minimal effort. Now, how did I feel? Now, the thing is, I never, ever let anybody else dictate what I could or could not do. I've always been well, you think I can't do that? Let me show you. I can do that. So, the thing is, I don't know that she actually hated boys. I think she generally thought good writing contained certain things, happened a certain way. So where she valued character introspection, which is them thinking about what they're doing and the implications of that, well, boys, especially teenage boys, valued action and plot. She wanted to value emotional exploration, which is what girls often did as teenagers. And what did boys like? They wanted adventure and discovery. So, if I had listened to her, I might never have written another story. Fortunately, I cared more about the work that I was doing and cared very little about her opinion. So at the end of the semester, I was actually the only boy to ever, as far as I know, get an A in her class. Why that happened, I have no idea. I've got some sneaking suspicions, but I can't prove anything. So what I did in class is I looked to see what she wanted, and then I would produce stuff that was closer to what she wanted. In some cases, I had asked if we could everybody could submit their work anonymously, and she would grade people based off of anonymous name, so she wouldn't know if it was male or female. And she was good with that because she knew that boys were always going to do, crappy work by her opinion. But then I would get good grades when I did that. So that really helped out a lot. Now, expanding beyond the classroom, one thing that you get from all this is that in writing, publishing, business, YouTube, your work is from you. Everything that you do is from you. Now, you have to find your own audience. There's someone out there that really cares about what you do. It may not be me. It may not be Rhino. but somebody does care about what you do. So finding your own audience is very, very important. And really stick to your guns. If this is what you enjoy doing, you need to work on that. And you need to make it become the best that it can possibly be. So, one thing that I learned and I discovered is that this doesn't just happen in school. It happens everywhere. And you'll meet people who mistake their preferences for objective truth. This is objectively true, okay? There was a company that I used to work for, and I did website stuff. I worked on the content for their website, and one of the things that I did is I was showing data on how the website should operate and what information should be where. And this is hard data. This wasn't coming from me. This was coming from actual data. And eventually I left that company because I couldn't get through to them that this was what the data was showing. Well, 6 months after I left, I noticed that their site had changed to follow exactly what the data has shown. So they eventually got the objective truth. They probably got it from the next web developer or whatever there. So looking back at that teacher, it taught me something that I don't think she ever really intended to teach. Not every authority figure is right. Not every critic understands what you're trying to create. Sometimes the people who dislike your work are simply not your audience. So the lesson wasn't to ignore criticism. The lesson was to learn which criticism deserves your attention. Because if you hand over your dreams to every critic, you're not going to have any dreams left. So that's what I've got. Now, if you will, please like and comment. Who is your worst critic? Who has been your worst critic and you just don't want to listen to? Tell me about that. And, I love to hear stuff like that. I love to hear when you go, this person just really teased me off, but I don't listen to them. And and tell a story about that, because that getting that off your chest is sometimes some of the greatest things that you could do. So remember, as the video title says, not every critic is your audience.